Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I was going to ask my questions in Calibri, but since you do not
Wow.
communicate that
I
in that
speak Times New
anymore,
Roman,
I
so-
am. I'm going to ask in Times New Roman instead. Sorry about the Dolphins.
That's all right.
I know that you don't want to predict anything, but whether you're at these meetings in Miami, obviously not today, but maybe tomorrow, do you think there's any chance of having some kind of announceable progress before New Year? In other words, are we going to be working on New Year's Eve?
We might be, if it's necessary and productive. You know, we're going to work as long as it takes.
Okay.
And by the way, these are the meetings you know about, but there's talks going on every single day. There was a meeting earlier this week in Berlin. There's phone calls every day. There's phone calls every day, be it with my counterparts that are national security advisors, or my counterparts that are foreign ministers, or what Steve is engaged in, or what Jared's been engaged in, or what even at the diplomatic level, some of, you know, there are days where it's Matt Whitaker, over our ambassador to NATO, that's involved in a conversation, or one of our ambassadors, ones in the nation states that are relaying back a conversation or involved in one. So there's work happening every day, all the time, probably around the clock. Not just on Ukraine, but on all these other things.
Okay. And then
So,
just
but these are the meetings you know about, and everybody kind of focuses on them as big events, but there's work happening all the time that lead up to those meetings and follow those meetings. As far as predicting a timeline, look, I'm not going to do that. This is a difficult task. It's an important one. We're focused on it. We want to get there as soon as possible.
Okay, so and then obviously Gaza and Ukraine are still works in progress, but of the peace agreements that have been reached so far, 2 of them are in obvious trouble, right? You know, obviously which ones they are: Cambodia, Thailand, DRC, Rwanda. In retrospect, and I know that work is being done to try and resuscitate these, but in retrospect, do you think that the administration, the president, but also others, declared victory on these
No, they
too
were.
early?
I mean, this fighting, for example, with Thailand and Cambodia did stop. Both sides have made commitments in writing that they signed. Those commitments today are not being kept as a result of both sides claim grievances against one another. And so the work now is to bring them back to the table. The ASEAN ministers will be meeting on Monday. I had a call yesterday with my Thai counterpart and intend to do the same, and we've been involved, the president, in conversations this weekend. And our hope is between now and Monday to work to bring everybody back to compliance with the agreements that were made. In the case of the DRC and Rwanda, we have signed commitments from both sides. Those commitments are not being met. But at least we have the signed commitments. We now can hold people to something, and we can push them. And in that case, by the way, for example, in the case of Rwanda DRC, as a good example, not only have we been engaged, but we have asked our friends on the Hill, both Republicans and Democrats, to also engage in conversations of their own with these leaders so they understand this is a bipartisan, you know, multi-branch of government interest in this topic. But the good news about both of those is we have signed agreements. At least we have something we can push them towards compliance on. But as I said, in many of these cases with peace, you sign a peace deal, there's compliance, something happens, they fall out of compliance, you got to bring them back, you got to try to push. But at least you have instead of negotiating something new, you're simply trying to now push people back to compliance with what they already agreed on. So I think these are achievements. In the case of Cambodia and Thailand, it actually did stop fighting. It has now restarted, and we are working hard to push everybody back to compliance. And we are cautiously optimistic that we can get there by Monday or Tuesday of next week. We're hopeful. But there's more work to be done to that point. All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary.